let's dive in. Imagine this. You're out there on this incredibly rough journey. You've got a companion, someone you maybe even shared something important with.
Right.
And then, boom, just like that, a mix-up, and they're gone. You're alone again. It's that same harsh reality, but now there's this real sense of loss on top of it.
Yeah, it really throws the precariousness of those connections into sharp relief, doesn't it? And that baseline isolation of being on the rails.
Totally. So welcome back, everyone, to The Deep Dive. This is our 8th look into Eugene McMillan's autobiography, Vagabond on Victory Road.
And today we're digging deep into Chapter 8. He actually titled it Hobo Life, the Turnabout of a Professional Gambler. Quite a title.
It really is. And just to be clear, our source, as always in this series, is Eugene's own account in this chapter. We're sticking right to his words. So our goal today, we want to unpack this specific part of his journey, look at his struggles, especially with loneliness, the kind of wild unpredictability of hobo life, its rules.
Unwritten rules, yeah.
Exactly. And then there's this really standout encounter, a pretty amazing story of transformation that he details.
Okay, so picking up where we left off last time, Eugene talks about that abrupt separation from Raleigh.
Right. He says, that exact day they'd planned to go their separate ways, Raleigh was supposed to catch the Missouri Pacific, heading south.
But somehow just got swept up with another group onto the Union Pacific instead.
Yeah, a complete mix-up. And that was it. Their paths just split, and Eugene didn't see him again right then.
Such a simple error, but wow, immediate impact on Eugene. Though, interestingly, he does mention hearing from Raleigh later.
He did, yeah. A letter arrived just before Christmas, weeks later. Raleigh made it home okay.
Which must have been a relief.
Definitely. And Raleigh specifically mentioned he appreciated Eugene talking to him about, faith, about being a Christian.
So those conversations stuck with him.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
But Eugene is really clear about how he felt immediately after Raleigh left. He says he felt Raleigh's loss very much.
And describes the following days as very lonely and often discouraging. You really get that sense of heavy solitude from his writing.
You do. It sounds bleak.
Yeah.
But then he talks about finding strength, finding solace.
Right. He says he was greatly comforted by reading the Little Testament and by prayer.
He paints this picture, doesn't he? Sitting, on top of boxcars and sometimes inside them, just reading that testament while crossing deserts and plains.
It really underscores how vital those simple acts were for him, like an internal anchor when everything else was stripped away. And he does briefly mention having chances sometimes to share what he was reading with others he met and seeing it have some effect.
And that theme, those unexpected meetings, leads us straight into the next big event in this chapter. A really cold night.
Yes. Okay, so the scene is dusk, near some small station. A big crowd of people waiting for an eastbound train, trying to get deeper into Texas, away from this cold.
And when the train finally arrives, it's just this mad rush, right?
A total scramble. Everyone trying to find shelter on the train, specifically looking for refrigerator cars.
The refrigerator cars. Why those?
Because those big ice compartments at either end, even empty, offered real protection. Protection from that bitter cold wind sweeping the high plateau of West Texas, he describes. It was about getting out of that freezing wind.
Just pure survival instinct driving that search. And Eugene mentions this kind of strict, unwritten law about those cars.
Yeah, he lays it out clearly. The first person or group to get into one of those compartments basically owns it. It's their space.
Possession is 9/10 of the law, hobo style.
Pretty much. And the space is tiny. He says maybe room for 2 lying down, 4 sitting, 6 standing. Cramped, but vital.
So Eugene, now on his own again, is desperately searching for one. He finds hatches, but they're sealed or already full.
He talks about the cold just biting at him, his hands going numb. You feel the desperation building, hopes fading.
It sounds awful. Then finally he spots one an open hatch. He rushes over, thinking, maybe hoping it's empty.
But as he starts to climb down, voices from inside stop him.
Not empty.
Definitely not. And not exactly welcoming. An angry voice shouts up, "Hey you! Who asked you to get in here?"
Oof. So what does Eugene do?
He apologizes, explains he thought it was empty, and just asks, is there room for one more? And while he's talking, he's peering down, trying to see who's in there.
And this is the moment, isn't it?
This is the moment. In the dim light, he recognizes a face. A large man, Lon Fishback.
Lon Fishback, who Eugene already knew or knew of.
Exactly. He describes him as the hard-hearted gambler he'd actually tried to talk to about faith before on a different train trip. out of Yuma, Arizona.
Wow. The chances of that.
Mm.
Running into him in that specific car on that night.
It's pretty extraordinary. It speaks to how small that world could be sometimes, maybe something else too. But because Eugene was alone, that seemed to be the key.
Ah.
The reply came back, "If you're by yourself, kid, come on down. We ain't got room for no more three in here already."
So they let him in. Getting down into that little space must have felt incredible after being out in that wind.
Oh, absolutely. He describes the warmth hitting him immediately. It was crude, sure, no comforts, but it was shelter, protection from the wind, the cold. He calls it a rolling traveler's inn.
A safe haven, relatively speaking.
Hmm.
Safer than being exposed anyway.
Definitely safer. And, companionship too, even if it started rough.
But almost immediately, that sense of refuge is kind of challenged, isn't it? The hatch opens again.
Right away. And this time it's a really sad sight. He describes two pitiful, trembling creatures, just boys, maybe 16 or 17.
Crouching up there, asking if they can come down too.
Yeah, pleading, really. You can picture their anxious faces in the fading light.
And the answer from inside.
Just blunt, cold, no, and then scram, keep moving.
Wow. Even after the boys pleaded, saying they'd freeze.
The refusal stood. Eugene says he felt very sorry for them, knew how desperate they were, but he couldn't do anything. He wasn't the owner of the space.
That unwritten law again. He had no authority to override the first guys in there.
It's a really stark moment. It shows that brutal survival code. You got your spot, you control it, and that means you can deny others, even kids in danger.
A tough illustration of the every man for himself reality that could exist right alongside some camaraderie. But the boys did survive, didn't they? Eugene sees them the next morning.
They did. They used a really risky method. They rode the blinds.
Okay, explain the blinds. That's that dangerous spot right behind the engine tender, right?
Exactly. The tender carries the fuel, in this case, crude oil, for an oil-burning engine. It's a narrow, precarious place to ride.
But the engine was putting out heat and smoke.
Yes, and that's how they survived. The heated, sooty smoke blowing back kept them warm enough not to freeze.
But there was a price.
A very visible one. Eugene saw them the next morning, and their faces were just black with soot.
What an image. So you've got this intense contrast. Eugene and the others in the relative warmth of the icebox, thanks to this rigid rule. And right outside, these boys clinging on, covered in soot, having endured that freezing night through sheer desperation. It really paints a picture.
It absolutely does. The hierarchies, the harsh realities. But while that was happening outside, inside the car, something completely unexpected was unfolding.
The conversation between Eugene and Lon Fishback.
Yeah, Eugene says they talked for most of the night. And this time, unlike that first brief meeting, he felt it was easy to talk about spiritual matters. He felt like something was already stirring in Lon.
And Lon kind of opened up himself, didn't he?
He did. He admitted straight out that he knew he'd been an awful sinner. But then he shared this really recent experience, something that had him baffled but also thrilled. This is the turnabout.
Okay, what happened?
He was walking alone out in the desert somewhere west of there, and he gets this strange feeling, a deep sense that he needed something, but he didn't even know what it was.
A profound sense of lack.
Exactly. And Lon, who apparently hadn't ever really prayed before, just looks up and says, "Oh God, I need something, and I don't know what it is. Whatever it is, show it to me." A very simple, direct prayer.
Wow. Okay.
So he keeps walking, head down, thinking about this, trudging through the sand at the edge of the road, and suddenly his boot kicks something, uncovers a little book in the sand.
No way.
Yeah. He picks it up, starts reading, finds some very wonderful, comforting words, and immediately thinks, could this be the answer to that prayer he just uttered?
You can imagine Eugene leaning in at this point. Did Lon know what the book was?
Not exactly, just that it seemed religious. But he'd kept it. He pulls it out of his pocket right there in the refrigerator car. Lon lights a match, so Eugene can see, and it's a well-worn gospel, according to Luke.
Finding that book right then, right there, that's incredible.
Truly remarkable timing. And then Lon, this guy Eugene knew as a gambler, starts talking about the story of Zacchaeus from that very gospel.
The little tax collector who climbed the tree.
That's the one. Lon recounted it with, Eugene says, almost childlike delight. He was fascinated by how Zacchaeus climbed the tree to see Jesus, and how Jesus called him down and went to his house, and Zacchaeus was so happy about it.
That story clearly hit home for him, found in the sand like that.
It really resonated, and Eugene says Lon shared other things that night, too, showing this growing interest and faith.
So Eugene was able to kind of explain things further.
Yeah, he basically said, Lon, finding that book right after your prayer, that sounds like God answering you. He explained what the Gospel of Luke was, showed Lon his own New Testament.
Right, explaining Luke was just one part of it.
Exactly, one of 27 books. And Eugene mentions Lon's background nominally Catholic, but with zero practical Bible knowledge. He was just positively thrilled to be hearing all this.
What a conversation to have, huddled in a freezing cold refrigerator car in the middle of nowhere. A real transformation starting.
It really is a powerful example of how change can spark in the most unlikely settings. From the simplest things, a feeling, a prayer, a book in the sand.
So morning comes eventually. They'd ridden about 200 miles, he figures. And the train starts slowing down for Abilene, Texas.
Which happens to be Lon's stop.
Right. And as they're getting off, walking along the train, Lon shows this real concern for Eugene.
He asks him, doesn't he? Where are you going to get breakfast, kid? And does he have any money? It's quite a shift.
It is, and Eugene is just honest. Tells him he doesn't know if or where he'll eat, says flat out, I hadn't a penny.
And Lon's reaction is the proof of the change, really. He says, kind of fatherly, I'm not going to let you go without something to eat.
From the hard-hearted gambler, Eugene directly observes, it's easy to see that God's Word and the Holy Spirit had done a wonderful work in Lon's heart.
It's such a contrast to the treatment of those boys just hours before. This act of kindness speaks volumes about that turnabout.
So what does Lon do?
He takes Eugene across the tracks, finds a little cafe on a back street, buys him coffee and cake.
Just a simple shared meal, but meaning so much in that context.
A real moment of connection, of care. And after that small breakfast, they parted ways, wished each other Godspeed.
And that's the end of that encounter. Wow. This chapter, it really packs a punch, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The contrasts are just so stark.
They really are. You've got the raw survival, the harsh rules that leave those boys out in the cold, right next to this incredibly moving story of grace and change happening with Lon Fishback. The brutality and the beauty side by side.
And it makes you think about the power of small things, too. Like a little book, literally unearthed from the sand, becomes this huge turning point.
Or just a conversation. A chance reunion in the dark leads to something profound.
It really challenges you to look past the surface, doesn't it? The person you might just write off as tough guy or whatever label.
Yeah.
They could be on this whole other journey you can't see.
Absolutely. Lon's story is a powerful testament to that. You just never know what's going on inside someone or what experiences are shaping them.
So that wraps up our deep dive into Chapter 8 of Eugene McMillan's Vagabond on Victory Road. From that lonely feeling after Raleigh left, through the desperate search for shelter.
To that amazing, transformative encounter with Lon Fishback, sparked by a book found in the desert, and ending with that simple act of kindness over coffee and cake.
It's quite the journey within a journey. And of course, Eugene's own journey continues in the chapters ahead, which we'll definitely be exploring in future deep dives.
Can't wait. But for now, maybe something to think about based just on this chapter.
Yeah.
How often might we miss seeing potential answers or connections or even profound transformation just because they show up in unexpected people or maybe really unlikely places in our own lives?